This episode is part of a special series featuring participants from Changing the Face of Improv Leadership, an unscripted project that focused on identity in improv by training and mentoring emerging improv teachers from historically excluded communities. In this project, each new teacher learned how to design and lead their own improv sessions during the Unscripted Leadership Workshop. Then they received one-on-one mentorship with an established improv leader who had a shared similar identity or experience, and it culminated with hands-on learning by each participant leading a free improv session with their own identified community. In this series, we're capturing their stories, what brought them to improv, how the program has shaped their leadership and artistic perspectives, and what they envision for the future of improv. I hope you enjoy this excellent conversation between Christina and her mentor, John.
Improv saves, world agrees. This week's issue.
Only child learns to take up space and create space with found family.
Immigrant child finds friends in play.
Welcome back, everyone, to Improv Saves, World Agrees. I'm Mike Garvin. We wanted to talk today about our improv journeys and how they overlap with our life journeys. We can go around the horn here and just say who we are, where we are in the world, and then, we'll go from there. And maybe just a brief snippet about what your status in the world of improv is, how that came. Christina, how you doing?
Well, I'm Christina Ashworth, and I'm based in Nashville. And I think at the moment I'm kind of in between like graduated student and, getting experience, but starting to teach in certain spaces to people who don't necessarily have a lot of improv experience. So, which is teaching me stuff about improv by itself.
And John?
I'm John Gebratatose, based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, teach improv. Currently, I am founder of a improv theater, comedy theater, and just started this year. We are, it's a mission to use humor to speak truth to power. And we're having a good time, just kind of getting the foundation going. And it's,
There's a look sometimes in people's eyes when they either, one, have just had a kid or one, have just opened a theater. And I don't know if that's similar. Like, I bet this has been quite a year.
It's transformational, truly.
What's the name of the theater?
Good Camel Comedy Theater. My mom traveled by camel from Eritrea to Sudan before I was born, and it took her 30 days. And I just thought that was amazing and brave. So, I'll name it Good Camel.
A perfect explanation of why you would want to name that. And to honor that. 30 days, camelback.
Yeah.
Now, is this a story that you have to pry for information on from her, or is this something that she was very willing to share about?
No, she's always told me. This is like kind of it's part of the migrant story. Many other Eritreans who've found their migrant, it's a common migrant story. It's not uncommon, but it's also part of the common narrative. It's like, oh, you didn't want to get good grades. I traveled 30 days, so it puts
I see. Yeah. So yes, that in the back pocket is quite the parenting tool. Excellent. And so, how many years would you say you've been improvising in the world of improv?
About 15 years official. I'd say started 2010, and then in between then teaching around the world. I was a co-executive director of a huge improv theater. It was a nonprofit theater based here in Minneapolis, and just closed in October of 2024. And it was a whole nonprofit theater that was just an imagination, a beautiful dream, like an artist kind of like pie in the sky that was realized. It was every punk rock's goal.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say that we realized it. It was unfortunate that the cost of kind of running in a capitalist society, it does run its course, at some point. We did it. We got to it. And the model is there. And any group and any community who chooses to pick that up can.
Yeah.
It's possible.
And now I'm getting all curious about what that model is, but we can talk about that more later.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come up. Yeah, it was part of the conversations we had anyway. So.
Oh, fantastic. Well, speaking of which, how did the two of you get linked up to take on this project? Because, Christina, you were devising a workshop for a specific community, and I'll let you speak to that now, and then maybe how the two of y'all got together to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was part of a program through Unscripted that was kind of teaching people how to be improv teachers. And as part of that work, they had a subsect of those people that were leading workshops for identity affirming situations. So, workshops for a specific group of people and, in a identity affirming space. And so I was asked to lead a workshop for BIPOC people, Black and Indigenous people of color. So that's kind of how I did that. And they paired me up with John to sort of get some of his nuggets of wisdom about, what it's like to be, a person of color in the improv space, but then also like to start spaces specifically for BIPOC in like the improv space.
Yeah, John, how did that, and what was some of your first thoughts on setting that up?
Well, first I felt like we won. And then I thought, ha ha. No. I thought, what an honor that this pledge to become an actual inclusive community actually is met with action.
Yeah.
And here's tangible evidence of it, sincere evidence. And Christina and I engaged in real organizing discourse. Christina asked great questions, and we followed up with, practical, tangible, and wonderful, things about culture and so many areas about identity and, the intricacies about overcoming and healing and society. So many things. And her own artistry and her own voice and so many things that she has to accomplish in her own dreams and things to aspire to. That's not just for her, but that ends up being for our own social well-being, social well-good. I think it's, on the surface, just improv, but it is way bigger.
As we like to think that it usually ends up being, it starts with improv, but we like to think it's a little bit bigger.
But this one technically is. This was very social, like historical context right now. It's a Black woman, in our world right now. Historical context right now. We have a racism happening, with the president that we have.
Yeah.
Christina's identity is direct conflict opposing the president right now. So it's very important that we have what's happening. Yeah. And her voice is very much needed. So it's a big deal.
Yeah. It is a big deal. And do you feel how big a deal it is in that space and creating that space, Christina, the responsibility in that? That's certainly a lot and a weight to take on, but that's something that, you are aware of and you're sensitive to in that space?
Yeah, I think so. I'm from Nashville originally, and so I think it's really important to me to see the art space in my city reflect my own, or I guess support my own identity as well. And this art form that I love so much has been sort of othering in a way to be in pretty much like only white spaces, and just kind of seeing the potential of what it could be versus what it is, especially right now, like John was saying. I think it's important to recognize that it's not just on the surface level getting people of color in improv. It's really, sort of a liberation in a way of, getting people to play really in a time that isn't facilitating play very easily.
Yeah. And it's just on a practical everyday basis, like to have an improv workshop and to have a space, you are literally creating a space that is welcoming to someone in a moment. And it's like just even on a surface level of being able to go into a space and feel a yes-and or an accepting attitude in embracing. I'm all over the place, but it's just like, speaking of the backdrop, John, that you were saying of our world right now and the country that we're living in and the president we have and all these things. I mean, just simply creating those spaces is radical in its own right. And I'm just putting that together right now as I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
The workshop itself happened on Saturday. If I just cover that in specifics just a little bit.
Yeah, it was a 2-hour workshop. We had it at Trinity Community Commons, which I had never been in that space before, and that is a whole different conversation of how difficult it is to find space to do things like this, and especially if you're working with limited funds, things like that. I mean, obviously Unscripted is a nonprofit, and right now there's not a whole lot of funding for nonprofits. And so that was an interesting thing there, just making sure we could have it somewhere. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was 2 hours, and we really just kind of opened it to the community. One thing that was interesting as well was knowing where to look to find people, because my big goal was to get people that weren't already in the improv community, not just, the few people of color I know that are in the improv community. I really wanted to expand beyond that. And yeah, just knowing where to look, and, it being free, people don't always take free events seriously in the sense of actually showing up, things like that. So there was some nerves around that, but we ended up having about I think 8 people, which was a great size.
It's a great size workshop.
And it, I think of all of them, I only knew 2 people before the workshop, and everyone else was either referred by friends of mine or just heard about it through the community. One woman said that she heard about it through her therapist, who just thought that she needed some community, and she struggles with anxiety. And she had a great time. And I wanted to cry, because I was like, that is exactly what I wanted to happen. That's Yeah. So yeah, it was a great workshop.
And what were some of the activities or exercises or things? And also, I'm always very curious about you said you had a lot of new people in there and experiencing improv for the first time. This is one of my favorite things, but the evolution of someone's resistance in an improv space, and when they start to warm up to it a little bit, did you experience some of that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I always like to start workshops with asking how everybody's feeling, just to kind of know what energy we're working with. And so I in the intro circle, also had them say, how they're feeling that day. And one person was very brave and said, the woman that was referred by her therapist said, "I'm feeling anxious." Yeah. And I was like, thank you for saying that, that just kind of lets us know what we're working with. And sometimes just speaking truth to that, helps, diffuse some of it. But I really tried to focus on a lot of warm up time and a lot of games to kind of, and that's one thing that John and I talked about was spending I loved what he said about spending the first third of the workshop in a circle, just so everybody stays connected and things like that. And I really, really loved that. I thought that was a really great idea, and it worked really well. And so I spent a lot of time with warm up exercises, things like that. For instance, one that I got from John was "Everybody Go," and it's really fun. We tried it, and it was so fun. It's very simple, but it's just, one person says "Everybody go," blah, and then everybody's "Yes, blah," and you just keep going, and everybody does that. Yeah. And it was just such a good way to kind of shake off some of the nerves and get some silliness going. Yeah. And so that was one of the first ones that we did. And then from that point on, they were oh, everybody's willing to be silly. let's go. It was awesome. It was such a good, I'm using that for like everything now. It was so cool.
That's wonderful. That's classic Viola Spolin, like sort of like get out of your head, get in your body, just like start mirroring with other people, and then I love that opening workshops or classes. I also love opening up in circles and something taking the pressure off of the focus. If you go straight into exercises to where it's like two people and you're in front of people, too much emphasis on ourselves, but in the group we can sort of divest ourselves into the group energy a little bit and get playful and then sort of like short circuit ourselves past our hyper evaluative mind and worried about what we're going to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. John, what are some of your openers to get people out of their heads a little bit and get warmed up?
Lately, it's always like, what am I nerding out about lately? This I don't even know where this came from, but the question has been your name, and if you want to share your pronouns, feel free, and then how you're feeling on the inside, but share it non-verbally. That, I don't know why, has been fun. And then we do like a little applaud. So it's like, thank you for that performance you gave us,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what it is about that at the top to just have everybody do this like little moment, this like performance that's happening. I don't know what it is. It's honest. It's like, I don't know. For me, it's like a little bit of this Cirque du Soleil for each other that's happening. These people don't even know each other. They're like strangers and they're doing this avant-garde stuff, but it's sick.
Yeah, I think I've told this before on one of these podcasts, but we'll tell it again. Like, so I do something similar at the beginning of my classes in corporate workshops, especially with people who are like very, very not reluctant to do improv and have been forced into this situation. I like to have a character pass about like that, John. It's like I have them say, how are you feeling right now? And can you sum that up in some sort of expressive emotion, not words, but just some sort of, mm-hmm. And then that turns into a character pass that goes all the way around the room. And so everyone has to take on everybody else's emotional sort of thing. And so we're all sort of like emulating each other and just going into that. But I love character passes because that simple act of like someone does something and then this next person has to say yes and just automatically do it. And at the end of this one session I had this very, very Middle Tennessee white man, even maybe whiter than me, if that's possible. That's not possible, but he's a very white man, and he was not a performer at all. And he's like, just how he ended up being in this class, I'll never know. But he was so uncomfortable with it. But just after doing that character pass, he looked at me and he said, "I think my body did like 12 things it's never done before." It's a long-winded story to just say. It's just such a simple act in these warm-up settings. But it's also so radical at the same time. Like it's so simple, but yet so profound.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a lot of communication that we're like surrendering and giving up. Just no more control and letting everybody see it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Gosh, I'm so tired from a long day of being a princess, but I just can't sleep.
Hey, miss. Looks like you dropped your crown on the ground. Not having a good night's sleep again?
No, I haven't slept well in weeks.
Well, why's that?
My mattress is so uncomfortable.
You know what you need?
What?
A P mattress. That's PEA mattress.
Oh.
Not the other kind.
Oh, that's less gross.
But it doesn't matter the way you spell P. You're going to sleep great because we use 7 layers of cotton. And there's no springs.
That sounds wonderful. Where do I buy?
On the phone. Just dial 1-800-P-MATTRESS. That's 1-800-PEA mattress.
Do you have a website?
No.
Okay, well, I suppose I'll get my cell phone and call. P-E-A mattress.
P-mattress.
And so, from everybody go, and everybody's loosening up a little bit. Christina, where does the workshop take us from there?
Yeah, so then we got into some character passes, actually. And so I did 2 iterations of it. The first one, my mindset really was like, first, okay, let's get people used to just playing as a character. And so we did a character pass where you actually want to mimic what the person before you did, and try to keep it as similar as possible all the way around. And then I wanted to get everybody comfortable with like big characters. And so then we did the version where you heighten something that the person before you did. And then ideally, when you get all the way around the circle, it gets huge and, caricature-like. And that, worked really well, I think, of just kind of iterating that idea of like, okay, we're playing characters larger than life, people, things like that. And then, after that, we went into some like 3-line scene stuff, and just like some boring stuff, getting used to dialogue. We played like a couple of iterations of 3-line scenes. I can't remember the specifics right off the bat, but then we did like the second half all like, long form scene stuff.
Wow.
But I really liked a suggestion that John had, which was like more directed scenes. And so like one thing that really helped, I think, shake some of the nerves was like I gave extra suggestions. For instance, like I would give them a location and a relationship, or like get it from the other folks, to where they had less to establish themselves, or pause in the middle if I saw somebody nervous and be like, okay, like your character is a secret, or like, how does your character actually like that job that they're in, or something like that, just to kind of like help them get some purpose going in the scene. And it was like huge difference, versus just like, all right, spaghetti is your suggestion, go,
And what you're talking about, Christina, is something that I've been teaching improv for, 5 or 6 years at this point, but something that I really had to learn over the course of doing that was how to do that and had to be more active with giving suggestions to people, especially people new to improv, because as an improviser, there was like this feeling, it's like an improviser would be like, don't give me too much. I want to do it. Don't just say one thing. I'll take it from there. And so it's like, there's this resistance I had to wanting to say too much to people in classes, like, cause I would want them to, take it upon themselves to sort of define and discover. But I also starting to understand that's like people in that space haven't been there before. They don't know what's available to them in this setting. And so it's like you just sort of gently guide, and you sort of just, if you can give them more specific things to latch onto, and you take the onus off them to come up with those specific things, then it's this wonderful freedom that they have to experience the joy of improv. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but that it's a specific thing that you were talking about that I took years to sort of figure out. And I'm glad that John got you there far sooner than 5 years.
Yeah, he gave me the cheat sheet on it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is painful. Why extend people's pain? No need.
Yeah. No need.
It's hard.
No
it's
need.
already hard enough to improvise.
Give them something to work with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once you give them that little thing, then the 7 things that come off of that thing that you gave them are all them. That's them responding. Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like, they're hilarious, you know? They just don't know what's possible, like you said. Like, and so giving them those tools of like, oh, if I can play with that, what else can I play with? Oh, my character is a secret. I didn't even think about it like that,
It's like you just walk into the scene and you just gently turn a lamp on over here, and it's like, oh, do you see that? Do you see that illuminating? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It was awesome.
I'm very impressed that you went into scene work and long form scene work in an introduction to improv setting. That's sometimes I shy away from that, and it is a bit of a feeling out sort of process to whether or not I'll always have my more scenic based games towards the end of a workshop to see whether or not a group is sort of open to that performance aspect of it, because that's the thing where sometimes people will shut down a little bit. But you're saying that by the time you got around to it, people were ready?
Yeah, because those are white people, Mike. That's the difference.
Thank you.
I will say, I mean, that's honestly, having done both, that's kind of true. Like, it's true, because like even when I was doing the Cleveland project, doing like with what is now Tupac, it was day one. I mean, a bunch of people who, I mean, granted, they were all actors, and so they're already used to performing in a sense, but like it was night and day of like, watching them like improvise in a level 1 setting versus level 1, going through my Third Coast classes and stuff like that. It was wildly different, which is, I don't know what that is, but it is one of the reasons why I'm like, people need to see that like improv in different spaces is completely different, And
I was honored to be introduced to that because I got the opportunity to, for a brief time, coach Tupac and the Cleveland Project for a little bit. For some, I got to teach y'all some short form games in a bit. And after I taught that for the first time, I went to Isaac, and I was like, I left this class belly laughing. Like, and not that I don't often laugh after I leave classes, but like the energy and the concentration and like just the attack that everybody had in that room and like how ready people were to go just floored me. So I think you're right, Job, because when I think about the reluctance sometimes that I experience in other places, I did not experience in that room. And also just I don't know, the group attack and attention. It's like there's a collective focus and that I don't experience in other spaces. But anyhow, I'll let y'all speak more to that.
Yeah. I could write a book. We could write a book on it. There's many theories, but I mean, you could just take the listening concept.
Yeah.
And that has, you don't, if you don't work on it, if you don't have a condition to work on it, it's going to show. So if you take white people, you say, hey, guys, make up a story together, improvise it. It's not going to be good because they don't have a life experience where they have to listen in that kind of way. And that's why it's not going to be like, you're not going to have a jam where you're going to encourage them to just do long form. That's going to be hard. Yeah. So yeah, that's why it's sound evidence to say that the BIPOC jam, you're going to go further in terms of the art form and do way more dynamic and complex stuff on day one, just because of the historical context of everything.
That we're ready to create with each other in this moment.
Yeah, it's a life learned experience. It's just sad to say, man. That's just I don't want to skate past it because I also don't want to undermine it. It's important to note that it's. I walk out of the door. There's a million trillion, microaggressions that I'm here with. There's ways that I gotta mask to protect myself, and this is also, I'm coming upon my 100th BIPOC jam. 100th BIPOC jam, and every jam that I've had, I've always kept it an affinity jam, meaning no white people can come in. So. That's important. There's not many things in this world where I could say no white people. Yeah. That is to say, how many things in this world, Mike, have you been to where you're like, oh, I was told no because of the color of my skin. Today I went to this event and they told me no. How many times have you been told that in this world? Never, right? Very little. So for you to have to show up in a space and have to have this deep listening where you put aside your wants and needs, that's an active skill you have not practiced. You have not been in a position where you had to. Yeah. That's a skill, though, that's really good for theater and improv. Yeah. So when people show up in that space and they're about to go perform, it's an easy thing to do. It's not even a thing that they got to think about because they've been having to do it in this life, sadly, because of these lawmakers who do these things that are actively against their actual livelihood and their existence. So yeah, I just wanted to just detail it out even more, that it's fun, and it's also has way more meaning to it.
I think I'll also add that one thing that I'm noticing, I think there's also something to be said for like the way that improv in some spaces has been like institutionalized. Like it's not lost on me that, I was going through this like very rigid curriculum at Third Coast, learning about improv and the right way to do it and things like that. And that happened to be a predominantly white space. But then in these areas that I've been in, it's been much less rigid and more just play-centered, more just like go for it instead of like, don't do this, don't do that. And implying like there's 6 levels, so you don't know what to do yet, Instead, it's just a jam or it's a workshop or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's just show up and play. And like, yeah, a lot of those scenes had stuff that we might consider like, not the right way to do improv, but it was hilarious. It still worked out. There was one scene where both players basically had their backs to the audience. It was like, for some reason, it was kind of funny. And so I didn't say anything about it, I was like, all right, yeah, and I think it just kind of like reminded me that like, and maybe there's something to this too, of like having to recognize that there's a rule set given to you. And whereas, a group of, like white folks might think, oh, well, I have to adhere to these. And if I do it wrong, then I did it wrong. It's like, well, I have this rule set given to me, but like, I'm not going to play by the rules because that's what I've done my whole life of like, I'm learning how to navigate what I need to do in this rule set that wasn't created for me. You know what I mean? And like, what can I make work outside of this, or what are the loopholes that help me do what I actually want to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think there's something innate in like BIPOC spaces about that.
Yeah. And this is good.
Yeah.
And this is liberating us all as a result. So as Christina gets the agency to really create, it liberates everything.
Another thing that when I got to work with the Cleveland Project, that I was telling Isaac afterwards, was that there was an understanding that improv, these were tools that we can pick up to use to express. But what you were saying, Christina, as far as like the more white spaces approach to turn everything into a formula a little bit, and to turn everything into rules that we're achieving, and to do right on a sort of tangent thought. In the improv world, game UCB, the notion of game of the scene is a thing that I have been upset about how it's been implemented a lot of times, because it becomes a very like dominant sort of like control sort of thing. There was a very white male improviser sort of conception of game that sort of spread throughout the improv community for a long, like 15 years. And it's like, you should be able to name the game and do this thing. And it just became this rigid formula over and over again. And it became a way for people to gatekeep. It's like, you're not playing game right. You're not articulating game right. You're not hitting the 3 beats. It just became so formulaic and so oppressive in this way to improv. But it's just like, but that's our community. That's been in our and sadly with us up until this point. But that's a part of the history at this point, and I'm glad that now, hopefully, we're evolving a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's exactly why having more viewpoints in the room just only improves improv, and like, I mean, even thinking of like, this is a white person doing this, but like, I think you should leave, like completely like changed how some people view sketch, I'm blanking on his name. Tim Robinson, is that his name? Yeah. Like completely like blew the lid off of like 3 beats of a game, or, things like that. Like he just was like, screw that, And I think like having more, like I said, like more viewpoints, more people that are bringing different identities and views to structure and things like that into the room is like gonna blow the lid off of what improv currently is, which is so fun to be part of.
Yeah. And the forms and the structures themselves, they don't mean anything if there's not like people behind it wanting to use them to express themselves through this. Like it's not about the stuff themselves and doing it right and doing right improv if we're not like using this as a tool to hear these voices, to get voices into the world, then why? Yeah.
Doesn't that sound ridiculous too? To be like, yeah, I live for the form. I live for this form, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm here. I wake up for the form.
Yeah.
Eat, sleep, and breathe forms, dude.
Oh, goodness. Following up, looking forward to the future, is this a workshop you were looking to offer regularly? Is this something you were wanting to,
as part of the program that it stemmed from, it was meant to be a one-time thing. But from the beginning, especially once I talked to John about it, and he kind of emphasized the importance of like creating community, and that it's not just like a fun little one-off thing. Like it can very much be the beginning of building a community, both like adding people to the improv space, but also just like getting people together in a time that it's really important to get people together. It like really struck home the importance of like, we need to make this a regular thing. And so I've been talking to, I see your excitement. So I've been talking to Ann and Emma, and we're like very much pushing for it to be like a monthly get together. And that's the goal now.
That's great. And John is clapping. I don't know if you can hear it. It's audio medium.
I can't hear.
It's a victory lap. It's a victory lap. If anyone's listening in their car, you don't see this. There's a full. Okay.
Yes.
I'd also like to say he doesn't seem winded, which I'm impressed by.
I started to do. I can't do no more than one. I hope that's great.
One last thing that we like to do is we like to see if we can put our improv journeys somewhat into headlines, because the name of the podcast, John, is Improv Saves World Agrees, and it's supposed to read like an old-timey newsreel headline. It's supposed to give improv more importance than it probably should have, but that we like to, imbue improv with a bit more weight than we probably should. But we're going to, right now, I'll offer you mine just as an example, which is youngest son of a Southern minister finds a space where he can make his own truth, is my explanation of how sort of improv sort of found me and what it meant for me a little bit. Now, that's a big question to put on both of you right now in real time, impromptu. But if you had a moment to think about, what improv, like, how it found you, what it's meant to you since, it's always such a tall order when I ask this question.
Are you asking me how improv saved my life?
I guess so, yes.
Are you dry asking me how? Let's do it.
I was trying to as organically as possible see if we could get into it. Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Yeah. I mean, no, this is my mom. I named my thing Good Camel because my mom's story, but it's also because the improv, it did save what the heck I'm doing, and through this BIPOC jam and having representation and being able to have kindness in my heart when I should be resentful with systemic racism and capitalism all the time, but having Black and brown people and just human beings, just in general, having play, it has healed me, and I found healing actively through people's use of imagination and play together. I don't know if this is the exercise you asked for, but it's true.
Please keep talking, please.
It's absolutely the truth. I found a way for people to engage that I thought was reserved for when I was a little kid. When I was 6 or 7 years old, getting EBT food stamps in the little lobby where it was like toxic, I found play with other random stranger kids, We'd play Ring Around the Rosie. It was the only time that I could use my imagination. But here I am, an adult, with other strangers in a jam, having that same exploratory area, feeling the same security because it is improv. So yeah, it gave me that feeling as an adult that I can have a future and I can believe in humanity. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, I got chills 5 times over there. And I also just really enjoy the expression exploratory security. Isn't that a fun? Yeah, I don't know. That's that's something I like to experience in life.
Love that. Yeah, I've never thought about it like that. It's hard to summarize in like a headline, but I'm thinking something like only child learns to take up space and create space with found family. Something like that.
No, that's not something like that.
Okay. I do one. I do one. Okay, yeah. Because, immigrant child finds friends in play.
Oh,
that's it.
I love that.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you for talking today. And then independent of this podcast and independent of this project for Emma, honestly, just thank you both for talking to me today.
Thank you, Mike.
This was awesome. This was so fun.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Man, I hope I get down to Tennessee, and I hope I meet you all in person. This is
Yes.
Please come
wonderful.
down, John. Yeah. It's
Or
good to
I
talk
hope
to
you guys come to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been another episode of Improv Saves, World Agrees. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast and follow at Unscripted Improv and at Improv Saves Podcast on social media. Improv Saves, World Agrees is hosted by Mike Garvin, produced by Christina Ashworth and Emma Sapika, edited by Cami York, mixed and mastered by Dave Strumfeld. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us for our next issue to find out who will agree next.